This is the big idea where a big time guest dreams of an epic matchup on Out of the Park Baseball 22. Play what the pros play, the ultimate baseball strategy game, and then we make it happen. Also, a quick note Out of the Park Go is here and it's glorious. You can download it right now on iOS and Android for free on your mobile device. It's exactly like the computer version. You'll have 3 historic MLB seasons for free, and you can purchase additional add ons of any individual MLB season from 1901 all the way up to the current time, 2021. Okay, let's introduce our guest of the week. So I was thinking about the best way to describe the insight and the excellence that this talent brings to the table every day, and will do so for a very long time in the baseball world. That description fits for young stars, right? Like Tatis and Acuna and Ohtani. Move over, everyone. Sarah Langs delivers stats and knowledge to the baseball world every single day on a number of platforms. Sarah, welcome. It's been a pleasure working together, especially in the past year at times on MLB Network, having you on as a guest. And when we first thought about the big idea, you were one of the first names that came to mind. I really think you're going to love this. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I don't know how to answer that intro. Thank you so much. So kind. I should not be being compared to those amazing young stars we have in our game, but I'm so excited to do this. Thank you for thinking of me. And yes, it's been great working with you, especially over this past year. So thank you.
You provide, of course, great insight and analysis on shows, but then you are very active on social media, and you are giving so many people, forget the broadcasters and what they're doing, right? Of course, we'll go time to time. Hey, Sarah Langs just, posted this on Twitter and shows us some crazy stat or something cool about StatCast, and we get StatCast notes from you almost every day too. But how about all of the fans in Major League Baseball that use some of the statistics and notes and stories that you come up with for either, I don't want to say bulletin board material, more like water cooler talk, if people still do that. I know there's a lot of remote work these days, but think about how many kids nationwide or worldwide go up to their friends and say, did you know that Shohei Ohtani now has the best exit velocity and pitch velocity, or whatever it is? A lot of that stuff is coming from you and your team that you work with.
I would be honored if that's the case. What I'm doing with everything, whenever I'm looking stuff up, researching, I'm just kind of trying to share what makes me love the game so much. And so if other people see that and it adds to their enjoyment of it too, then, mission accomplished. So I love that you're thinking that way, because I really hope that's true. But, I'm always just trying to bring the positivity and all of the great stuff about this game to everybody and put it right in front of them. And hopefully that really helps.
I know it's true, because I travel a lot and I'll be at the ballparks, and it's crazy what I've seen in terms of the evolution of not just stats, but how even young, I go back to young fans, how they're analyzing the game nowadays, and how they'll bring up, well, I think he's going to turn it around. I've had 12-year-olds. I think he's going to turn around because his max exit velocity is strong. His expected stats have been really good. His expected slugging is way out producing his actual slug. And I'm like, yes, let's go.
I love it.
It's music to my ears. And I know yours too.
I love that. Absolutely. I love that. I think fans are smarter now than they've ever been. No disrespect to our parents and grandparents, everybody else, but I think just sports fans overall, there's just so much available, and if you choose to look into it, you can really know what you're talking about when you're watching these games. Not just people like you or me who are putting on a broadcast and get research packets and whatever else, but anybody sitting at home or sitting in the stands can know so much at any given point, which I think is really, really cool.
It's the best problem for a broadcaster. It is a problem because I don't want to say overwhelmed, but I would say I can't get enough of the material that we have nowadays. It's not like you just pick up a newspaper and that's your preparation to call a game. There's way too much info. I can read all day about the two teams that I'm about to call. So anyway, yeah, life is good right now if you're into this stuff. So I think you're going to be into this. Let's get into Out of the Park Baseball 22 and your big idea dream scenario. So we have the 2006 Mets matching up with the 2006 Detroit Tigers on a what-if World Series. And why did you think about this?
Oh my gosh. So we were going back and forth, and you said I can pick any matchup, any two teams. And I grew up a Mets fan. You know, I don't root anymore. I'm a reporter. I'm unbiased 100%. But when I was growing up, this was the biggest what if of my childhood fandom. The Mets were tied for the best team in the majors that year. They absolutely just plowed through the regular season. They made it all the way to the NLCS, where they lost to the Cardinals in 7 games. There were a lot of injuries that kind of played a role in how their postseason went. And the Cardinals had won 83 games that year, and they made it to the World Series and ended up winning over the Tigers in 5 games. So I just have always wondered whether the Mets would have won that World Series, whether they would have swept that World Series, and what would have happened if they had just come back after Endy Chavez made that amazing catch. We all know how that 9th inning went. Adam Wainwright to Carlos Beltran. Mets postseason hopes dashed. So I really wanted to see how this might play out if we got to see the Mets in that World Series.
And now it's all happening, and it's happening in one game. The teams are on the board. I love it. Yeah, they were first in the division, tied with the Yankees, best record in the sport. In the National League, they had a top 5 offense, even led the NL in stolen bases, so we'll have some fun with that. They had the top relief pitching ERA. It was Willie Randolph in his second year of a 4-year tenure who finished second in NL Manager of the Year to Joe Girardi. And yes, the lasting memory. There's a couple, right? Endy Chavez, but also the Carlos Beltran strikeout against Wainwright. So we'll see if we can turn things around for Mets fans. So you'll manage the New York Mets against a Tigers team that I thought about this too, Sarah. Hey, the Tigers didn't win their World Series. Maybe they're going, well, if the Mets were in the World Series, we had a better shot. Maybe they like the matchup better. Now, here on Out of the Park, we're looking at who's favored in positional categories, and the Mets are pretty heavily favored, but not in the pitching category, and we'll set up the pitching in a sec. But the Tigers had some pretty nasty pitching, so maybe they're thinking 2006 was their year if they faced the Mets. So with that, the only thing we'll do, and then we'll let Jim Leland do his thing, the only thing we'll do is we'll set the lineup and who's going to start in this game for Detroit. So Jeremy Bonderman actually has some really nice ratings on the game here for that season in terms of overall. Of course, Verlander was just getting going, so his overall's a little less, but his potential's really high. Kenny Rogers was the veteran in the mix there. So the only thing we're going to decide is who should start for Detroit in that game. What do you think?
It looks like it should be Bonderman. You know, I hadn't seen the video game ratings beforehand. I was absolutely going to say Verlander, but it's pretty crazy. I mean, think about it. You see they're both 23 years old. I mean, when we think of really good top 3s for the Tigers, I think we think of the 2013 team when they had Scherzer and Verlander, and Anibal Sanchez was really good for them that year too. But look at this top 3. I mean, really, really good. But I think we're going to go with Bonderman. I think he's the better pick, and I want to set the Tigers up for success.
Yeah, and out of the bullpen would be ridiculous. He was an excellent rookie that year, so we'll see. And that's up to Jim Leland. So Bonderman's all set, and then now we have the starting 9 for the Detroit Tigers. And for comparison's sake, I also do have the lineup for the ALDS Game 1 of the Tigers from that year, if we want to refer to that, which had Granderson 1. Polanco was in the 2-hole. Here, the computer setting things up has Maglio there, which also could work for sure. So any thoughts on what we want to do here with the lineup?
I think I'm good with this. I like Maglio in the 2-hole. You know, I think that's a little bit more, maybe more modern. Like, I feel like we would see that if he was playing right now. But I like it. I mean, that's how I think. So I'm good with that.
Perfect. All right. So we've got Granderson, Maglio, Carlos Guillen, who had a great year, and it was very clutch. And Timms and Monroe, Inge, Pudge, and Placido. All right. So the Tigers lineup is all set. And now let's move to the New York Mets. And by the way, we are going to be in the Mets home, Shea Stadium. Going to bring back some memories, Sarah. No Citi Field yet. It's Shea Stadium back in 2006.
Absolutely.
And there is no designated hitter. So Bonderman will get to hit, and so will one lucky starter for this New York Mets team that we're going to manage together. And the options are plentiful. also the options are more generous than what the Mets had in the postseason because and hey, I'm the same way. I grew up in this area. I definitely was rooting for the Mets a bit, and I'm the same way. I'm totally neutral, just living life in the Major League Baseball world now, rooting for great games, great stories, the whole deal. But I do remember Mets fans quite disappointed that both Orlando Hernandez and Pedro Martinez dealt with injuries down the stretch. But what if they were available like now?
Absolutely. We get this awesome what if scenario. I mean, I mentioned game 7 of the NLCS before, and Oliver Perez started that game. Oliver Perez, all credit to him, still a major leaguer after all of this time, which is incredible to see, but probably not the pitcher that Mets fans wanted starting game 7 when that season started, if they were to go ahead and project it. So I'm staring at this right now, and Glavine was available, but choosing between Orlando Hernandez and Pedro was not an option that Willie Randolph had at any point and would have had if they did advance to the World Series. And, I think we got to go with Orlando Hernandez. I mean, Pedro is obviously maybe a slightly bigger name, definitely bigger name in the Hall of Fame. But, he was a little bit older at this point, and all of these guys are certainly 30 plus. But Orlando Hernandez had a really, really good year for the Mets. So I think we're going to go with him.
Yeah, and he has the great postseason pedigree, too. I mean, and so did Glavine, for that matter. I mean, he pitched quite well in the 2006 postseason, 1.59 ERA in 3 starts, but we didn't see El Duque in that postseason because of the injury. So he was scheduled to go, like you said, game 1 of NLDS, hurt his calf warming up on a day off, missed the entire postseason. His postseason career produced a 2.55 ERA in 19 appearances, 14 starts. So I like that. Let's go with Mr. Clutch, El Duque. He knows what he's doing, and then we'll set the lineup for the New York Mets, of course, beginning with your prototypical leadoff hitter back then in Jose Reyes. This is a really good looking, at least, top 4-ish, and then maybe we play around. But, I mean, that's as good as it gets. Reyes, Wright, Beltran, and Delgado had a lot of pop that year, of course.
I really think we forget how good this team was because they lost that NLCS and the manner in which they lost it. Everybody comes back to that one strikeout. Obviously, that's not the entire series. It was in 7 games. There were plenty of chances for them to potentially win that series even beforehand. They had to come back from, I think they were down 3-1. But I do think we forget just how great this lineup was. I mean, they were just tearing up the National League, and I just have so many memories of all of these huge games they won, scoring a ton of runs. I mean, this was pretty foreign to me. Obviously, growing up a Mets fan, they hadn't been this good for a sustained period of time for an entire season, pretty much in my lifetime, what I could really remember since I'd been a baseball fan. And you see these numbers, and you see it. I mean, the fact that Reyes and Wright both hit 300 or better. Paul Duque also had a great season for them, obviously playing a couple fewer games, being a catcher. But, they had a Sports Illustrated cover. I think they had like 6 guys make the All-Star team. And it was completely unheard of being a Mets fan of my age at that time. So this was a really, really fun team.
Yeah, I think many Mets fans were thinking this was going to be a World Series team, and this lineup's stacked. So are we feeling good about what they're throwing on the table here? Reyes, Wright, Beltran, Delgado. I think that's pretty safe. Bench has Castro, Franco, Chris Woodward, Cliff Floyd. And for Cliff, he dealt with a lot of injuries that year, and I think the year before actually set a career high with his homer total, but maybe would have been better if we had a DH, Andy Chavez for defense there, and left Sean Green was on that team. How do you feel about, and Leduca was a great contact guy and got on base a lot. How do you feel about the order there? And yeah, you're pretty much, 3 switch hitters, so some good lefty-righty balance. Everything look okay on your end?
Yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I'm looking at the NLCS Game 1 lineup, and they went Reyes, Leduca, Beltran, Delgado, Wright, Cliff Floyd, and then Sean Green and Jose Valentin. But I like Wright in the 2-hole, so I think I like that. Bottom of the order, maybe, I don't think I have a significantly better idea. Maybe put Leduca batting 5th. But, with Valentin being a switch hitter, I'm not sure that's a huge deal either way. So I could leave that to my bench coach.
We could put Valentin down. Right. We could put Leduca 5. And then Valentine, like, and also, let's see. I mean, Green. I mean, Chavez were close. Well, here, I'll give you one bench coach suggestion. Tell me if you like it. What if I go with Duque here? So we keep the lefty righty going. And then we put Green here and Valentine there.
I like it.
What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, because I'm looking at that game one that you just mentioned. You're right. Valentine was a little lower. I probably take, if I have one at bat, Green over Chavez. And we're pretty split up well. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a winning lineup. Also, this team's heavily favored.
Yes. Like to see that.
So 58-degree day. So it's a little chilly at Shea Stadium. Shea Stadium was unique. I would say not as pretty as Citi Field these days, but it had its own character to it. I'm sure you went to quite a few games growing up. You know what I'm talking about. The orange seats all over the place, and just more of your classic old, we're just going to throw everybody into a ballpark and make sure that we can fit as many people as possible, and not as much thinking, I would say, aesthetics back then with Shea Stadium. Did I put it nicely? Because I went to many games as well, and once I went to Citi Field, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a ballpark.
Yeah, I think the priorities on ballpark building were pretty different when Shea Stadium was built and when Citi Field was put together. You know, now we're all about seeing those amenities of the ballpark, great food stands, everything else. But, you know, in a lot of ways, those older stadiums, I'm thinking of the Oakland Coliseum. And of course, you know, Wrigley has had some renovations now, but Wrigley as of 10 years ago, you know, that's pure baseball. You just have to sit there and watch the game. And I kind of like that. I mean, nothing against these current ballparks, but, you know, when I'm there, I'm just trying to pay attention to the games. So, you know, there's real benefits to any of these parks, I think.
Yeah, you go in there. It's not a beauty contest for the ballpark. I've got my scorebook. I'm locked in. Let's do this. So Mets hosting the Tigers. We're controlling the Mets. Sarah Lang's joining me today on the Big Idea against Jim Leland, the computer AI, and the Tigers. Are you ready for the Big Idea to relive the 2006 What If World Series?
Yes, let's do it. So excited.
All right, let's play ball. We are in the game. And El Duque is on against a future Met at the time, Curtis Granderson. So we have our options, and we are ready to roll. Sarah, what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's go ahead and pitch.
Here we go. One game to decide it all. El Duque on the mounds. Mr. Clutch in the postseason, facing a young Curtis Granderson at the time, and a 4-pitch walk to start the day.
Oh, boy.
So 1-on for the Tigers. Gotta love the 4-pitch walk for a guy that you figure wasn't going to be that nervous, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you were talking about his postseason track record, but you never know what's going to happen, right? All right, let's go ahead and pitch to Maglio, right?
Yes. So do we want to set up double play depth with Maglio and Curtis on?
Yeah, why not? Let's go for it.
Okay. And hold the runner as we pitch through?
Yeah, with Granderson, I think we probably should.
Yep. Granderson could definitely move it. A young Curtis Granderson. And there's a strikeout. Duque's like, I'm just kidding. I'm good. On a 1-2. Got him with the fastball.
Just needed a batter to settle in. You know, we've seen it so many times with the great aces, right? Happens.
Exactly. Hey, it's a big scenario. He didn't expect to be here because he had the calf injury. So we throw him back in, and now he's healthy. And he's facing Carlos Guillen, contact specialist, who really did a nice job for the Tigers at times in the postseason that year. And we've got Granderson on first. You want to set up double play again?
Yeah, I think let's do it while we've got him there.
Okay. And we're going to hold him still?
Yep. Let's do it.
One down, and it is a ground ball to the right side. Only plays at first, and a little underhand toss to the covering El Duque, and Guillen beat it out. Called safe. Bang, bang play. And El Duque didn't cover the bag in time. So first and second in the top of the first.
Wish we had some sprint speed for that, you know?
Exactly. I was going to say, Sarah Langs has to drop in some StatCast notes, even if they don't exist back then. So at least some StatCast shade or some StatCast jabs. I'm all about it, Sarah.
Yes, 9 years before StatCast started, but I wish we had it right now.
Exactly. I'm with you. All right, so Guillen and Granderson are on. Should we set up double play depth again?
Yeah, I mean, hasn't worked so far, but why not?
All right, and ready to pitch to batter?
Yep, ready to go.
Let's do it. 2 on, and that ball is socked to center, and it's going to kick up off the base of the wall. And that's going to score 1 for the Tigers and put them on the board first. Beltran out there retrieves it, and Granderson crosses home. 1-0 06 Tigers, and Granderson heads into the dugout, Sarah, and goes, "See, guys, I told you we should have faced the Mets."
Exactly. I mean, as you were saying, this is huge for the Tigers side. I mean, this is what could have been, and now I'm questioning my pitching choice. Should we have started Pedro or should we have started Tom Glavine? I don't know.
The good news is this is winner take all. So at any time, we can go to that bullpen, warm up a pitcher, and the one thing I'll make sure that you're aware of is generally takes a few batters to get a guy going. And in a game like this, we're going to always cover ourselves. You can also visit the mound. So when we visit the mound, that might kind of help speed things up with the bullpen. Just check in on the first off. I know it's super early, but with 2 on and 1 out, should we warm someone up just in case someone comes through and it's all of a sudden 3-0?
Maybe. I think that could be a good idea. Yeah. Who do we have in the pen there who could make sense? I mean, don't want to get up one of the, main guys this early on. I'm trying to think who might be able to go a couple innings if absolutely needed. Maybe that's a Darren Oliver kind of situation. I feel like he did some long relief back in the day, so maybe he's the choice there just in case we need, 3 innings out of the bullpen right here.
Or you have the big boys, of course, Glavine and Pedro.
Oh, right. I forgot. Winner take all. We could just get them ready.
Game. Yeah, it's beautiful because we're not in a 7-gamer. So, wait, my long man, should it be Darren Oliver or Tom Glavine? I mean, the only thing is, could they be brought in with a little bit of a mess? Sure. But, I mean, I think they know how to handle themselves, right?
Yeah, Hall of Famer. Let's warm up Glavine. I totally forgot that it doesn't matter. There's no tomorrow, right? So let's get going.
This is game 7. Everyone's good to go. All right, so we'll get Glavine warm just in case. We'll head back to Shea. And we have 2 in scoring position. Craig Monroe is up. And what's the move?
Yeah, let's just pitch.
Let's do it. And that one is inside.
The 3-0
Ball
pitch.
4, another 4-pitch walk. What is this?
Wow. I mean, I know we're in a simulation here, but I wonder if something's still not right with El Duque, maybe. Coming back from that injury,
that's right.
Feels like.
Maybe the calf is still barking. That's a good point. Should we visit the mound and talk to him?
Yeah, I think he needs a little visit at this point.
All right. I mean, so we chat with him. Glavine's still
not
getting
tired
warm,
at all.
And El Duque says, "I'm not tired at all. Let me pitch." Okay.
Wow. Let's do it.
Should we bring the infield in? I mean, first inning, 1-0 game.
Yeah, I guess let's do it. Bases are loaded. Need all the help he can get from his defense behind him.
Yes. All right. Let's see what we can do here with Brandon Inge. At least we're down to the 6-hitter for Detroit, and it wasn't a great offensive. That one is booted at short. Reyes couldn't handle it, and scoring is Guillen. It's 2-0, and this has turned into a little bit of a rocky start for El Duque. Not his fault on that one. Jose Reyes, I think you remember, could make the most ridiculous electric plays, but then at times also one of those.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. His career is kind of the beginning of when we have some defensive run save stuff. And when the Mets trade for Francisco Lindor in the offseason, I was working with one of our reporters who wanted to kind of contextualize having a really, really good defensive shortstop for the Mets. And everyone said, oh, this is going to be their best defensive shortstop since Jose Reyes. But if you actually look at the numbers, and again, that's the beginning of when we have some advanced stats, he was not a great defensive shortstop. So to your point, kind of making some flashy plays, but not necessarily as reliable, getting to everything he should. So maybe we should have expected that in the first inning of this World Series game. But yeah, I think a lot of people just think, especially before we really focused on stats, I feel like a lot of how we evaluated defense was, oh, well, he made that really cool play, that web gem. But obviously there's more than that.
Yeah, and suddenly, I guess Mets fans are watching this starting to think maybe we had more flaws than we thought on that team.
Yeah, right.
So here we are, 2-0 in the first, just one out, bases loaded, and here's Pudge Rodriguez in the 7-hole, and when they signed him, things really turned around for the team. I think when he signed, they were still a team that was among the worst in Major League Baseball. The Tigers just, a couple of years prior had that brutal season where they lost a ton of games and really turned things around. So the question is, at this point, one out, do we want to bring the infield in again? Tim's at third, might be able to make a play at home.
Yeah, let's bring it in just in case.
Okay, bring him in and pitch to batter.
Yep, let's go.
All right. 2-0 and a check swing and a strike three. He went around
Strikeout
on the full count pitch. Big strikeout for Pharrell Duque. Maybe he picks up some steam here. This is a tough 8-hitter though. Placido Polanco can really make contact.
Yeah. Really good contact guys. I feel like a handful of them on both of these teams. You think about even just now to 2021, and some of those guys I think we give maybe like more credit to than we would have back then for how good they are making contact. Guys like Nick Madrigal, I know he's hurt right now, David Fletcher. So it's just interesting how much more common it was, back then.
I love those guys in the playoffs too, because the pitching gets better and they still know how to put the ball and just make things happen. And if you put the ball in play, things like a Jose Reyes flub happen, and all of a sudden another run's on the board. So bags full of Tigers here in the first, and we have Polanco, and now 2 outs. So anything special or ready to go?
I think we're ready to go.
Let's do it. Big pitch from Polanco, big swing, but right into a glove and left. Chavez was there for it, played it nicely, got a nice little jump, didn't have to move too much after that. Sarah, I would say, all things considered, that wasn't a terrible inning. It could have been much worse for the Mets, and we've been gushing about this offense. So now let's get ready to move. Reyes up first. What's the move?
Absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing as you, by the way. I mean, considering that situation he was in, 2 runs, the Mets can come back from this, I think. So, let's see Reyes swing away.
Here's the Amazins. The Mets had a few comebacks in them back in 2006. Reyes holds up on his check swing. He thought about a 3-2 swing, but said, you know what, I'm probably more valuable on first. So it's ball 4 from Bonderman, and now Reyes is aboard, and I mean, he's elite. And we go, 20 to 80 scouting grade, and Jose Reyes was at the top of the stolen base board for quite a few years there, or near the top, especially for the games that he was playing for a Mets team that was first in stolen bags. So just something to think about. Right up next. Anything fancy?
Should we try to steal second? I mean, I don't want him thrown out at second in the beginning of this potential rally, but, you're saying the 80 grade speed. I'm thinking about it.
I'm thinking too. Maybe maybe a smart steal?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's the throw to first. Reyes is caught. Oh, Pudge with a money throw. I mean, that's the epic matchup. Pudge Rodriguez said, did you forget that I threw out about 50% of the runners in my career? And Reyes is toast. Wow. Oops. See, sometimes your bench coach gets a little too aggressive, and you got to shut me up.
I mean, the speed is exciting. You want to see it happen, so I don't blame either of us there.
No. All right, so back to right. Swinging away.
Yep, absolutely.
David Wright a little disappointed in us. Diving stoppage short, but he can't get a hold of it. Guillen watches the ball trickle past his glove. It's an infield knock for David Wright. So there you go. Another man on, and he can run too. And Carlos Beltran's up.
All right, let's swing away.
Swinging away. And a called strike 3. A slider at the knees. See, that is just too ironic for his first AB.
Yep.
When you think back to Wainwright, bases loaded at the time, 3-2 pitch, and he watched it.
Yeah.
All right, so Beltran's out, and we're up to Delgado.
All right, let's swing away. These sluggers, let's see what they can do.
38 home runs that year, and he got under it a little bit into center field, and catches made by Granderson. Shea Stadium was a pitcher's ballpark, and then we've seen Citi Field mostly be a pitcher's ballpark as well. It's gotten maybe a little more neutral, but I do remember some balls in Shea where you said, wow, he got a hold of that one, and then it died in center, and that's what we just saw.
Totally. Yeah, and Citi Field, I mean, they've changed the walls a couple times now, brought some stuff in, lowered a couple lines, so maybe a little more offense. But I think it's one of the more neutral parks we have these days, right?
Yeah, it shifted back more towards the neutral part of things. I think when they first built it, there's some advantages to having a pitcher's park, but fans want to see a little offense. And eventually when the Mets, were falling in 2-1 games too frequently, you make a move. So I think it's in a good spot now. It's one of those things where you're like, okay, tweak this, tweak that. Now hold it. We're good.
Exactly.
All right, so Duque's back on the mound. Pitching away. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And a swing and a miss. And a strike for Hernandez. Wagner swung over it and back to the top of the order in Curtis Granderson. And I figure we can keep an eye on El Duque if he starts to breeze through. Otherwise, if trouble brews again, we can go back and think about Glavine and company, right?
Definitely. I mean, I think this could be one of those starts we see from those elite pitchers where first inning a little bit rough, and if you don't get to them then, you're not getting to them the rest of the game. So maybe that's what's in store. We'll see.
Second time through the order, and he strikes out Granderson. Good call. And, hey, it looked like it was ball 4, so a little bit of a chase from Curtis, who actually did have a lot of swing and miss in his game back then became like a little more contact-oriented, and then a very big sellout for power guy eventually with the Yankees. So a strikeout for El Duque, and here's Maglio Ordonez. I liked how you put it. Maglio probably I know he didn't get the start in NLDS game or ALDS game 1 when we were looking at him in the 4 spot and Polanco hitting second, but probably more of your prototypical 2-hitter nowadays.
Yeah, I feel like this is the type of guy we see hitting second these days in terms of power, everything else, and on base. Those guys that you used to say, okay, that's your cleanup hitter, no question. We know now with lineup construction, cleanup hitter is not all it's cracked up to be necessarily. You just want these guys to get to as many plate appearances as possible. And every spot you go up in the order, you get more plate appearances. So that's the reason for 2 and 3, where Mike Trout hits, all of that.
Yes. Yeah, you want Maglio up as often as possible. And this time he flies out to center. So just like you said, El Duque just needed to slow down the heartbeat, and he's good to go.
Locked in now.
Yes. Back to your Mets. Sarah managing an 06 Mets club that has Paul LaDuca, who hit .318 that season, .355 on base. He was a great offensive performer for them that year. Ready to swing away?
Absolutely.
All right, let's see if Duque can set the table for your squad. That one is popped up to right and caught for out number 1 by Maglio. On to Sean Green. That was, I would say, the name out of all of the Mets from 06 that I kind of overlooked. When you first told me, hey, I want to be the 06 Mets. I mean, Sean Green had a fantastic career. And it's not like I totally forgot about him. It's just that if you said, hey, name, 5, 7, 8 Mets from that season, I don't know if I would have said Green until maybe number 10, 11, 12, when I really have to dig into the memory bank. What about you?
So, I mean, I was just the crazy fan, knew every single player, everything else. And Sean Green was one of my favorite Mets. Like, I think he was on the team maybe 2 years right around here. And I think I had a Sean Green t-shirt. I mean, I always wanted to be the fan going to a game who wasn't wearing the shirt that everybody else was wearing. So I had my David Wright shirt. I had whatever else, but that wasn't what I wore to a game because everybody would be wearing those. So I had an orange Sean Green shirt that I remember pretty distinctly. I think it's number 20 on the back, but that's probably the only reason that I would have associated him with this team. And again, I was so all in on this team. But, it's funny because, of course, best known for what he did with the Dodgers, the 4-homer game, everything else. But it is funny when you look at some of these baseball reference pages and see, all the teams that these guys were on over the course, especially those final few years for some guys.
Yeah, once you get to the end of your career, maybe you kick it around to a few other clubs as, players go through decline, but they're still good enough to play on a team. And Sean Green was definitely one of them. I mean, 9 postseason games, 313 that year in 2006, 405 on base. So he still did some pretty good damage for the Mets that season. And I love that call. So it actually just brought back a memory for me too, Sarah. So I was the same way. My parents said, you can have 1 baseball jersey. We'll buy you, the Mets. I did the black uniform button down, and you can put a name on the back. And there were big names available during my time period, and I chose Robin Ventura. Great player, but he wasn't the superstar ever really on the Mets. He was solid. And I said the same thing. I said, I want people to know that I'm really paying attention. Whatever age I was at the time.
Exactly.
But I want people to know I know this team.
Yes, exactly. It's like a badge of, I know what I'm talking about. Like you said, I know this team. I'm not just wearing the best player. It's so silly now, right? Thinking about it. But I love that you're thinking the same way.
I was totally thinking the same way. And I loved defense. And Ventura was known for his glove. And that was back when it was him. And the infield was Olerud. And Ray Ordonez was great, too, the shortstop.
Yeah.
But I wanted a little bit of offense. So I said, all right, give me Ventura. That's a good mix.
Yes, I love it. I love that.
So here's your guy then.
Sean Green.
Sarah's jersey, Sean Green. Diving stop at second, bobbled at first, and Green reaches. So a diving stop by Polanco makes the throw not hang on to it. A little bit of an errant throw, and the error is going to put Green on first for the Mets with 1 out in the second, and we're up to Valentine.
All right, let's see what that contact can do.
Swinging away. The switch hitter does make contact to second. This could be 2. And a nice 4-6-3 turned by the Tigers to escape the second inning. So far, and I think that was a tough choice for us. It was, it was Verlander, and Nate Robertson was pretty good that year. But like you said, it was a young Verlander. The potential was there, but Bonderman was ranked pretty high. He had the FIP, actually. Bonderman's FIP was great that year, fielding independent pitching, and also had some pretty good performances when I was looking back. ALDS, 8 1/3, 2 runs in a win over the New York Yankees. Had a quality outing in the ALCS against Oakland, and then even in the World Series, where the Tigers, didn't have a great World Series, gave up 2 runs in 5 1/3 in Game 4. So he's coming up big so far against a tough offense through a couple innings.
Yeah, I mean, we were a little unsure. Do we go with the name, or do we go the more current name, I should say, or do we go with him? But working out thus far for the Tigers.
Yeah, working to our disadvantage. But here we go with Carlos Guillen in the third. It is 3, 4, and 5 up for the Tigers. Ready for it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. El Duque trying to prove that he's all calm, cool, and collected now. Lazy fly ball to center. Beltran's there, covers a ton of ground to pull it down for out number 1.
Right. I really think he's locked in now, but we got to see if that Mets offense can do anything.
Yeah, now on to Marcus Timms. I like the confidence they have in El Duque. Hot shot to third, right handles it. 2 gone quickly in the inning. Now, I would say some of the guests we've had on Big Idea, Sarah, would have freaked out and gone with the quick hook. Especially, I remember when there were runners on second and third, starting to turn into a problem. Then Reyes makes the error, and you're like, all right, I'm going with Pedro or Glavine. But I like the moxie here from the Mets to say, we're believing in you. Let's use Pedro and Glavine maybe later. El Duque's got 2 gone quickly for Craig Monroe.
I'm glad he's making me look good with that choice, you know? I was doubting myself, but it's all good for now.
No, so far, so good. Hey, and you get the strikeout, 3 up, 3 down. El Duque starting to get on a roll. And we go to the home third, beginning with Endy Chavez.
Oh my gosh. Endy Chavez was just such a fan favorite. You know, I think he was a fan favorite even before he made that catch. But he's just one of those names that I feel like Mets fans of a certain age or people who were fans of the team back then will always have a story about him, you know?
I agree. Role player. I like to say, sometimes I say baseball player, which of course baseball player too, but certain phrases I use, role player. I mean, that was a guy, he's not going to be the force in your lineup, but he's going to make clutch plays, probably some clutch hits. I don't know if I'm tempting you at all, and I know your style, but do you try to sneak a bunt down with Chavez? Back then there were a few more, or do we keep it simple and try to just get guys on?
Why don't we try it? I feel like he's the perfect guy to try it with. Why not?
I agree. Let's see if we can get him on. All right, bunt down the first base line. Done well, and he is safe. Successful
Awesome.
Little sneak bunt, dragged it down the first base line.
He was really good at that. I mean, I want to say he had a walk-off drag bunt for them, potentially. I seem to be remembering a game back then, but I just remember I have memories of Gary Cohen talking about drag bunts from him, so I know that he must have been pretty good at that.
You're on the money. 14 bunt hits in 2006. That was top 5 in Major League Baseball back then, and only 3 players above him, Corey Patterson, Juan Pierre, and Willie Taveras, in 2006 had more. So, hey, perfect. Chavez is on, and this probably puts less pressure on you to think about a pinch hitter at this point for El Duque. I know it's super early, but do you drop a bunt down with him and move him over?
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm feeling much better about, my redemption basically for suggesting we get aggressive with Reyes in the stolen base as El Duque does his job. And actually it was a close play at first, about a step and a half. They beat him out. And now Chavez is at second base, 1 out, and here's Reyes.
Yeah, let's swing away. Let's see what he can do.
The great Jose Reyes. Fly ball to right. It is caught, and Chavez is staying at second base for David Wright.
All right, let's go.
Swinging away. Right. Little comebacker. Easily handled by Bonderman for the 3rd out of the inning. So 2-0.
Wow.
Tigers. They put two runs up in the first, and now we're on to the 4th inning. El Duque's at 59 pitches. Here's his stamina. So he's still in pretty good shape. He's still hovering in the green range, just starting to get to yellow. So should we think about someone warming up again, or just want to ride him for now and see how things go?
Let's see how it goes with this one batter, and then depending what happens here, we can get Glavine up again.
Okay, perfect. Brandon Inge, and El Duque's been on a nice little roll. That's no problem at first for Delgado. Pop up, and he hauls it in for out number 1. On to Pudge.
Awesome. Let's pitch.
Let's do it. Batter to batter right now is working. Maybe he just needed that kind of pressure.
And Shea Stadium, now we have so many ballparks where the bullpens are hidden, but Shea Stadium, not one of those. So he could absolutely tell that Glavine had gotten up.
Yeah, he's been a beast now all of a sudden. El Duque has been trucking through this lineup. And here's Placido Polanco. And that's a 3-1 pitch that misses the plate. So ball 4. Tough part of the order about to come up, but here's Bonderman. So you want to, chances are El Duque is going to get through him, right?
Yeah, let's pitch to him for now, and then we can figure out the bullpen.
Okay, perfect. Fires and strikes him out. Called strike at the knees, and the Tigers strand 1. El Duque gets through the frame, and number 3 hitter Carlos Beltran. Good part of the order for the Mets. Beltran, Delgado, LaDuca, big idea. What if World Series from 2006 with Sarah Langs joining us, managing the Mets. Here comes Beltran, ready to swing away.
Absolutely. Let's go.
The switch hitting star drives one deep right field. Forget about it. Carlos Beltran cashes in with a solo home run, and the Mets are on the board. It's 2-1.
That's the offense that I feel like we were waiting for this whole time. Too bad it couldn't have happened when they had Chavez on earlier. But, 2-1, this is a really close game. Anything can happen.
Hey, look at Carlos Beltran showing, I think, and I feel like this is almost overplayed, but talking about that series at the time in 2006 when the Mets fell to the Cardinals in the NLCS, Beltran gets talked about for one pitch that he watches to end their season. But let's not sleep on the fact that Carlos Beltran was not only a stud for the Mets, but also in his career, he was clutch as can be. He was a clutch postseason performer, with other teams. And I think that one play gets played a lot. But, I look at the stat page for Beltran in 65 career postseason games. Sarah, 307, 412, 609 slash line, 16 home runs in 65 games, 11 for 11 in the stolen base department. I remember it started with his Astros career, and he was great there. Also, just this season alone for the Mets, 594 slug, 41 homers, 18 stolen bags, OPS plus, which 100's league average. He was at 150. NLCS actually, 296, 3 homers, OPS above 1,000 in 7 games. So I just want to make sure that everyone is well aware of how great Beltran was that year and really in his entire career. Because do you feel like sometimes Mets fans maybe put a little too much onus on Beltran in one particular pitch and are not looking at the big picture of his career?
100%. This was a Hall of Fame career on the page, it's just the numbers that he's put up. If you look at that and compare that to other outfielders, other Hall of Fame outfielders, everything that he did in the postseason, especially what he did when Astros got him, and that first postseason we really remember of his in the early 2000s. He was such a great player. And of course, the easy highlight reel clip is the Wainwright pitch. We know that, but he did so much. And to your point, he did so much for the Mets. I remember having a conversation a couple of years ago and saying, if he did make it to the Hall of Fame, he did win a World Series with the Astros later in his career, and that was the team that sort of put his postseason prowess on the map. But if you look at his best production by any team he played on, it was his time with the Mets. That was really the peak of his career. And I think that if he were to end up in the Hall of Fame one day, there's a really strong argument for him going in there with a Mets cap, which is pretty funny when you think about the fact that, as you were saying, a lot of people refer to that one singular pitch and that also came in a Mets uniform.
Yeah, as much as they gave him flack back then for that, I feel like if he does make it to the Hall and he goes in as a Met, they're going to go, it's all good now. Big hugs. We love you. We appreciate you. I think the advanced stats probably tell the story even more for him. So, and look, in the big idea, he puts the Mets on the board. They needed a little boost. We're in the 4th. And now it's Carlos Delgado Ready to give him the green light?
Yep, swing away.
Swinging away. Jeremy Bonderman serves up the homer, and now Delgado sends one to right, and that is caught by Ordonez for the first out in the home fourth onto Paul LaDuca.
All right, let's swing.
Swinging. And making contact, as usual. Over to first. Timms snares it, and he hurries over to the base for out number 2. Here's Sean Green, who reached on the error last time. I feel like just given the story that you gave me about Green and watching him and rooting for a guy that, yeah, maybe was a bit overlooked on this team but had an epic career, this could be a big Sean Green game.
This really could. That would be certainly poetic.
Yes, exactly. 2 outs, Green into right, and he is retired. So the Mets go down after the Carlos Beltran home run to make it 2-1. Tight game, good pitching so far. El Duque in here now against the lineup, third time around. We did some digging, Sarah, and what you said to do makes even more sense when we're looking back through the archives. Expert research here on the big inning. So Pharrell Duque, in his career, he got better each time through the order, which we know is not easy to do. Yeah. And if you look at most pitchers, that was not the case, especially nowadays, but even back then. So OPS against him, 746 first time through, 717 second time through, 717 third time through, 659 fourth time through. So it's almost like when we say hitters learn the pitchers and get more comfortable each time around, El Duque, I think, learned the hitters and got more comfortable each time around.
Yeah, it seems like it. And you know what stands out to me with that? I mean, there aren't a lot of pitchers these days where we talk about fourth time through. I mean, when you read third time through, I thought you were done with the stat. And then you also had the fourth time through to offer, which just tells us, you know, people like to point out the game has changed. I don't think there's anything wrong with the game whatsoever. I love it. But there's no question that we see pitchers go a little bit less deep into games than we used to. And, you know, I was looking into this a couple days, you know, there's not a lot of guys who we have a number for fourth time facing a batter in a game. So I guess this means we go with El Duque for now, but you tell me when we should be getting Glavine or one of the traditional relievers warm.
Yeah, as your bench coach, I'd say my suggestion is, and I like what you're saying, I probably would have already pulled him and that would have been a mistake. So I like how you're one of the nicest people in the biz. You kind of nicely said, I would like to see this play out a little bit more. And I'm all about it. Different arm angles for El Duque. It's working. They're not picking up the baseball. So I think the happy medium is let's go batter to batter and see how things go. If there's a couple of 4-pitch walks, we're going to feel like this could be the first inning all over again. And we'll get ready for, you know, a Glavine or a Pedro in the middle stages here.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Perfect. All right. So ready to pitch to Granderson to start off the 5th?
Yep, let's go.
Ready to go? And there is, of course, ball 4. It was on a 3-2 count. A nice take, but it is the 4th walk for El Duque. So, yeah, why not? Why not just warm someone up, right? Just to have someone for insurance here in the inning. And maybe turn him around again back to Glavine?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't know. We're a bit deeper in the game now. I don't know if we want to go to the traditional relievers, but I feel like you can't go wrong bringing in a Hall of Famer. And both of those Mets starter options are Hall of Famers. So, yeah, let's get Glavine.
Let's see also who's coming up. It's a little more, I guess, right-handed coming up besides Guillen, right? So we've got... maybe my suggestion changes a little. Maglio, Guillen, Timms. So we could warm up Pedro so we have more righty-righty action.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Let's go with that. The other Hall of Famer. I mean, incredible options to have here, right?
Great options to have. And also you have a situation where we're basically going to potentially throw out the 2 guys that we didn't get to see that postseason with Pedro and with El Duque. So, okay. let's get back to action. Granderson is on, and double play depth already put in place by the infield. They've read our minds at this point. Little shift to the left for Maglio. And do we want to hold Curtis Granderson so he doesn't get too big of a lead?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. 0 for 2 Maglio so far today, and he comes through for his first knock of the game. Granderson on to second, and 2 on here in the 5th. Now, what are we thinking? Should we visit the mound? Are we starting to worry about El Duque?
Yeah, let's visit the mound. I think see what he has to say.
All right, so meeting on the mound, Sarah, and he says, "How do I feel? Pretty good." That's not as convincing in a winner take all.
No. Not quite. I guess we give him one more batter, and then Pedro will be ready at that point.
Yeah, I think so. He's still warming up. It sounds like we'll need at least one more batter, and I get it. Pedro's not used to a situation like this, so yeah, let's ride out one more. We have runners on first and second. Want to set up for the double play with Guillen?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Let's set it up and ready to pitch.
Yep, let's go.
Well, let's dig in, and he makes some contact into shallow center. It's going to fall. And Granderson actually holds up at third. That loads the bases with nobody out in the 5th. So we're in some trouble. I'm guessing you want to see how Pedro's feeling.
Yeah, let's see how he's doing.
Warming up. He's not ready yet. I mean, you can still throw him in there. It's not going to be the worst case scenario, but you know, he's close. And I would say we probably might even want to think about someone else warming up too. Maybe another righty like a Sanchez, Juan or Sanchez.
Yeah, let's get him up and yeah.
I'm almost tempted to suggest putting Pedro in even though he's not 100% warmed up. It's a tough call here. All right, so we're on to Tim's, righty-righty matchup. El Duque is definitely struggling a little bit, but, that's happened before, and then he starts to do his thing. I would say it's pretty much 50-50 here.
All right, well, I'm gonna go with the belief in the player and let El Duque face this one more batter, and we'll see what happens.
One more batter.
I'm probably going to be wrong, but we'll find out.
You feeling a little heartbeat pressure starting to rise?
Yeah, a little stressed. I mean, I don't want to put them in a bad spot. I feel like, being a manager is so difficult, right?
If you could organize any game with any players in baseball history, who would you call?
Can I interest you in a 1994 What If World Series Yankees-Expos matchup? Or how would Team USA from the 2017 World Baseball Classic fare against Team Cuba? But here's the catch. This time, the Cuban roster features major leaguers. What about the two best clubs in the history of your favorite franchise? Like, who's better, the 1985 Royals or the 2015 champs in KC? Stop wondering and start watching, because this is the big idea. Big time guests dream of epic matchups on Out of the Park Baseball 22. Then we press play and manage it all, thanks to the ultimate baseball strategy game. Available on PC or the brand new Out of the Park Go on your mobile device. Take that curiosity, that all-time debate, that what if in baseball history, and make it happen. The big idea has arrived. Are you in? Okay, yeah. This is where big idea players have been really feeling the heat. Bases loaded, nobody out, 2-1 Tigers, and we are in the 5th. El Duque's been the guy. 7 strikeouts, but he's also walked 4. Pedro's warm, but one more batter, right? With the infield in?
One more batter. Oh my gosh, such a stressful moment.
Huge moment here with nobody out. And that one is driven deep left field, and it's gone. Marcus Timms just left the yard. A grand slam to make it 6-1 Detroit. Of course.
Of course. Great manager move by me right there. Just outstanding.
Unreal. Now, we're just playing a game. We have our normal life jobs. A manager is going, I'm going to be thinking about this for the rest of my life. I should have just thrown Pedro in there, even though he wasn't maybe totally ready. And
in the winner take all game,
up.
I mean, oh my gosh.
Tough times. So should we throw in Pedro now? I mean, he's still warming up, and I get it. It's a starter, but clearly
I mean,
they are seeing something. What do you think?
Yeah, let's bring him in now. And the bases are empty, so it's pretty much the same as a start. You know, we're not bringing him in traffic. The traffic all just scored, so.
Okay. So 7 spot coming up. A little double switch action?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Okay. So here we go with Pedro for Sean Green.
Okay.
In the 6 hole. And we're going to put Pedro on the mound.
Good choice.
Yes. And Sean Green is out. That's the only thing. There is a tier because I was banking on Sean Green doing something crazy later in the game. But you do have a very nice option in our friend Cliff Floyd.
Absolutely. And he got a huge hit in the 9th inning of that Game 7, so in the NLCS. So good to get him there.
Yeah, there's some clutchness in Cliff's bat. And now the bases are empty. 5th inning,
Although,
6-1
wait a minute.
Tigers.
I think we have El Duque in the outfield, right?
You're right. Yes, that is a good catch. Let's get Cliff in there. All right, so Cliff is coming into the 9 spot.
There we go. Good. I don't want El Duque getting hurt out there. So.
No, El Duque is not moving. El Duque, sit down. Cliff Floyd in right. No, he's not Shohei Ohtani, and we're good with Cliff in right, and he can stay in left.
I think that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes, good catch. I'm feeling a little lost as bench coach right now and a little sad. But hey, these are the Amazons. They've got a little time. Cliff Floyd in the game.
I mean, I'm happy for the Tigers. You know, this is what they should have been doing in that World Series against the Cardinals. So at least they're getting to now.
Yes, this is their redemption story.
Exactly.
All right, so Pedro's in. Ready to pitch?
All right. Yeah, let's see what he's got.
I know what Pedro's going to say if he starts breezing through this order. Why didn't you start me? And there is a fly ball out to left central. Chavez is all over it for the first out. Here's Brandon Inge.
Okay. And
we're pitching, and strike 3. Quick work from Pedro so far.
Maybe we should have started him.
I know. Now Pedro's going to get on this roll, and he's working at a quick pace, too. And there's another pop-up. Shallow center. Beltran all over it. Look at Pedro come in and sit down 3 in a row. I think the one thing, 2 runs on the board. You'll live with that. I guess the one thing I'm regretting as a coaching staff together is you see Pedro warming up. I don't see the ready sign, but, warm up is still mid-range, right? Like, he can come in. It might just, take a little longer for a starter, but should we just have faith in Pedro that he had enough time? Let's go. El Duque's in trouble, and then grand slam later, and we're kicking ourselves. So it happens.
It happens. It happens. But, this offense, we'll see.
Yes. It's a Mets team that ranked 3rd in the National League in runs scored, top 10 in OBP, top 5 in slugging. They could run. So here we go, 7, 8, and 9. And it's Valentin, Chavez, and Floyd after the double switch. So we start with Valentin, ready to swing away?
Yep, let's go.
All right. 5th inning action, and he swings and misses. Bonderman picks up the strikeout. Now Andy Chavez. Are we going crazy to try and bunt? We just try and keep it simple.
I think let's keep it simple this time. But it was fun when it worked out last time.
Yes, it did work out well last time. This is a changeup from Bonderman, pitching with a lead and really feeling good about himself. 4 2/3, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. Here's Cliff.
All right, let's see what he's got.
Cliff Floyd swinging away. And it is weakly to second. Polanco will clean it up. 1, 2, 3, 5th inning for Jeremy Bonderman, and the 06 Mets trail the 06 Tigers by a score of 6-1. Placido Polanco is going to lead off. 8, 9, and 1 due up for Detroit. And Jim Leland probably doesn't have to really worry about if he wants to pinch hit Bonderman with a 5-run cushion. Probably going to try and especially kind of, more of your classic manager. He's probably going to try and get 100+ pitches out of Bonderman in this case, right?
Definitely. And he's only in the low 60s right now. So I think we have a lot of Jeremy Bonderman left in this game.
I agree. And hopefully a lot of Pedro still to go. So Pedro versus Polanco. And the Mets' largest comeback in 2006, 6 runs. So this is 5. This is doable.
This is doable. This is doable. Let's see it. We need Pedro to continue to lock in.
Yes, we do. And that is driven to left. And you got a nice outfield defense with Chavez playing left. He's all over it. Reels it in, 1 down. Bonderman's still going to bat, so ready to go?
All right. Yep, let's go.
To short, Reyes. This time, no problem. 2 gone in the 6th. On to Granderson.
All right. Let's see.
Let's see, Pedro. Popped up, foul ground, and right is there, about 5 feet from the bag. He's in foul territory. 3 up, 3 down for Pedro again. And in the ALDS, Game 5 against Cleveland. So where was he back then? 1999. Pedro came out of the bullpen and pitched 6 no-hit relief innings.
Yeah, that's one of those really, really famous relief appearances that we've seen. I mean, you think of Madison Bumgarner coming out of the bullpen in 2014 World Series in Game 7, and even just more recently, Julio Urias, I think he had a similar hitless relief appearance for the Dodgers, maybe in that decisive game this past year, but I know there were a lot of Pedro comparisons back when he did that in October.
Yeah, Urias, a couple relief appearances, including the final 7 outs of that World Series. Yep. You're right. This is Pedro's time to try and keep them in the game. This is it. Top of the order. Yeah. We're in the home 6th. Shea Stadium's rocking. Ready to swing away with Reyes?
Let's go.
No bunt, right? I mean, we need to get base runners on, but no bunts.
No, I mean, he had power, I mean, he hit a couple of home runs in that NLCS for them. I want to see him swinging away.
Perfect. He does. Goes to left, and he'll get on base himself with an opposite field single. Jose Reyes is on board, and now we're on to David Wright.
All right. Let's swing away.
Yeah, nothing fancy here. We got too much work to do.
Nope.
Right to short, and they get the force at second. And all right, so a fielder's choice, but everyone's fast there. So right is on to first, and here's Beltran.
All right, how about another home run?
That would be nice. Carlos up the middle. We'll take a single, and there's works. 2 on for the Mets. Yep.
Totally works. This is the offense that it was supposed to be,
Yes.
Here they are. Yeah.
Delgado was great, too. I mean, he was actually one of my favorite hitters in general growing up. Just your classic power bat, knew how to get on base. big slugging first baseman. When I think about your 1990s, early 2000s first baseman, I think about Delgado, right? 30, 40 homer guy, okay fielder. First base was really the only spot to play him, and he could do damage in big spots. So looking for some big pop here, right?
Totally.
0 for 2 so far today. This one is to right. It's deep. It's gone! Carlos Delgado!
There we go.
Muscles up. It's 6-4. I think, part of why I like to talk through this, Sarah, is I feel like they're listening to us. Where I'm like, you know Carlos, 40 homer guy. This was his year. The Mets were the Amazons back then. He knocks out the pitcher. Walker is in. Jamie Walker replaces Jeremy Bonderman. And you're back in this ball game.
Such a quick swing, right? I mean, I was saying Bonderman, we were saying before he's going to go 100 pitches. He was mowing them down. And it's amazing how quickly that momentum shifts, isn't it?
Of course. And yeah, Delgado back then, I mean, 4-year, $52 million deal with the Marlins. They trade him after one season, and he ends up a really solid Met. That year, 38 homers, 131 OPS plus. Postseason, I'm looking at the stats for the Mets. A lot of them had really nice postseason numbers, so it's not like this team couldn't swing the bat. I just feel like, again, when, you forget some of the intricacies of some of the games, and people remember, the end of how things didn't result in a World Series appearance. But, Beltran, Delgado, 351, 4 homers, 11 RBIs in 10 games. His slugging percentage in those 10 games in the 06 postseason, 757. So he's showing us why he was a big force for the Mets that year. So I would say the other thing I'm thinking about as bench coach is, Pedro's coming up next. This is the inning. And Verlander or Zumaya, somebody crazy could come in at any moment and shut us down. So we're in the 6th spot. I would say at this point, we're probably I think we might have to pinch hit depending on the scenario for Pedro. So should we get Glavine and someone, maybe Sanchez, some of those guys ready to go for the next half?
Yeah, I guess we have to. Boy, this is why it's so hard to be a manager, right? I mean, Pedro is rolling. You do not want to have to take him out, but you need to capitalize on this inning, especially on this reliever, everything.
Yeah, this is the inning it could be for the Mets. So who are we thinking? I mean, we've got Glavine, Chad Bradford. I mean, was really good that season. I mentioned Sanchez. Maybe. And you got a bunch of righties coming up. So maybe should we try and bridge the gap with the little Chad Bradford action? We could do both, too. We could warm up Glavine and Bradford.
Yeah, let's warm them both up. Bradford was so good for that team. I mean, I feel like on the list of guys maybe a little lesser remembered about this team because you remember the big sluggers, as we were talking about, and the big name pitchers, but he was really clutch for them.
He was, yeah. And provides, I talk about this a lot nowadays, where there's bullpens that provide different looks, and I'm all about that. Tampa Bay Rays are very famous for that. I feel like every guy has something special to him. It's a splitter specialist, it's a slider specialist, it's a sidearmer righty, all these different kind of flavors of reliever. And I feel like the Mets actually had a really nice blend back then between Bradford, Feliciano, lefty specialist. Heilman was kind of unique with starter turned reliever. And I mean, we had Duque starting the game with the different arm angles. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident here, Sarah. It's 6-4 game in the 6th.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, if Duque can get on here, feel a lot better about that upcoming pinch hit. So
I agree. All right, so let's swing away with Paul Duque. 0 for 2 so far today. And that one kicks off. Oh, no, I'll restart that. And that is a pop-up, first base side. And it is out number 2. So Duque is toast. Here's Pedro with 2 outs and nobody on. I know it's a tough call.
So tough. This is why, this is like in fantasy football, I never make trades, and this is why. It's like the risk averse in these situations. But I mean, part of me just wants to hit him.
Yeah.
I mean,
You've
is that
had
an
the
awful,
inclination
awful
before,
choice?
and we saw what. No, it's not an awful choice. I mean, Pedro's capable of shoving for the next few innings. You don't even need to worry about your bullpen. So I don't think it's terrible. We do need to pick up offense here with 2 runs, but
yeah,
you've got. It's tough.
Yeah, pinch hit options.
Julio Franco.
Yeah, I mean,
Woodward, Miller.
I don't
It's not
know.
amazing, but it's better than Pedro.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know. I'm not good at these. I like Pedro out there pitching, and I'm just not sure. Yeah, let's do it. Probably a very silly move, but let's do it.
But the problem is, I don't want to suggest a change and then all of a sudden Bradford and Glavine give up 5 more runs and you're out of this thing.
I mean, this is baseball. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Happens all the time.
All right, so swinging away with Pedro?
Yeah, let's do it.
Here we go. 1-2 count, and Pedro strikes out. Okay, I mean, nothing surprising there, but we'll head to the 7th, 6-4 game, and you don't have to worry about the pitcher spot for 8 more batters now. How you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. I feel like if he gives up a home run to lead off this inning, I'm going to feel pretty silly, but I'm okay right now.
Okay, perfect. Maglio Ordonez is up. Tough part of the order, so let's see how he does. Righty-righty. I mean, this is a righty-heavy lineup for Detroit. So ready to go with Pedro versus Maglio?
Yep, let's go.
Sarah Lang sticking to a little run prevention. And so far, so good. Fly ball out to left. Chavez comes in to grab it. There's one. Now Guillen.
Right. Let's go.
And that is to first. Slow roller, Phil Delgado. Over to Pedro covering. He knows the confidence that you gave him. Not that he needs much confidence, it's Pedro. But I would say more just the ability to say, Pedro, my bad, you should have started this thing. You take this one home. 2 outs now in the 7th. And here's Timms, who had... so Timms is, 2 for 3 today. He had the big grand slam earlier. But it's Pedro time. Ready?
Let's see. Yep, let's go.
Oh, he socks another one. Marcus Timms, forget about it. Solo home run, and he makes it 7-4. It's a 2 home run day.
Gosh.
And actually, I will say this too, as he crosses home. The only other sub I was thinking about when we were putting lineups together was, do we start another friend of ours in Sean Casey at first base instead? And Timms had a nice slugging percentage that year, but Casey, I think it was like a 50-50 call. There's a lot of 50-50 calls at this point, right? And El Duque was much better against right-handed hitters than lefties. So it's like, should we suggest Casey? I don't know, because we're trying to build the optimal lineup for the Tigers. And I didn't say anything. We end up sticking with Timms for Detroit, for Leland. And look what happens. 5 of 6 RBIs today for him. Or I should say 6 of 7 runs driven in today for him after the home run. What a day for Marcus Timms so far.
I mean, this is the amazing thing about postseason baseball, right? If you look at this lineup, even the one that we put together entering the game, that's not the guy you were going to pick for the multi-homer game. You would have said Maglio or, Guillen or, Pudge, honestly, anybody else. So really cool to see that happen for him, even if it is against the team I'm managing here.
This is why we play these out. I mean, this was one of those games that if it happened in real life, Timms would be a legend. And it also, as soon as this stuff happens, Sarah, it always causes me this is, the nerdy numbers guy in me to look back right away. And I'm like, what did he do that year? He was 256, 333, 549 slugging percentage during the regular season. Bopped 26 homers in 110 games. OPS plus 123. He's a very solid hitter. His slugging percentage was top 10 in the American League, and that was his best year of his career. Career highs in homers, RBIs, slugging. Made the opening day roster for the first time in 2006. So, hey, I give him all the credit in the world. Marcus Timms is an instant legend on the Big Idea tonight.
Yes. Huge game and a winner take all game. I mean, that is absolutely the stuff of legends for the Tigers. So really fun.
You'll like this. One more note about Timms that we just dug up. His first career at bat was in June of 2002 against the Yankees, against Randy Johnson, and he hit a 2-run home run.
Wow. That's really fun. I mean, you think of some guys who just had some epic debuts against pitchers like that, especially back then, these guys who now are all in the Hall of Fame that we think about. That's a pretty fun one. And of course, now he's the Yankees hitting coach, right? So Yankees full circle for him.
That's right. Going from a career, I would say, highlight in at-bat number 1 in his life, and now a career highlight here in this game, a 2-homer show. Craig Monroe's up. All right, back to the action. Pedro ready to pitch.
All
Still
right,
riding Pedro for now, right?
Yep, let's go.
All right, let's do it. We'll see if that was just a little blip on the radar. Uh-oh. Base hit left side. And one on here with 2 outs. What are we thinking?
Maybe time to go to the bullpen. I mean, I put my faith in him beforehand, but I think maybe later in the game we don't quite have as much time left to work with as we did when El Duque ran into those issues in the first. I mean,
that's right.
This game is getting late quickly.
I agree, and you've got a switch hitter and then lefties coming up. I think this might be Glavine time.
Yeah. I'm in, and he's ready, which Pedro wasn't even when we brought him in, was he? So that's good.
That was the regret of the game, is just like getting Pedro ready. A drop earlier, I guess, thinking about the fact that he was a starter kind of escaped me a little bit too, that he might have needed more time. And so Pedro's out, and he did pretty well. Glavine in for Brandon Inge. Oh, and I was looking at the wrong side. The Mets have lefties coming up. There is a lefty at the bottom if they go with Walker and then Granderson to flip aside, but I still think this is a good time for Glavine. Bottom of the order. Let's see if he can give you a little steam here and ready to pitch to the batter.
Again. Yep, let's do it. Again, back-to-back Hall of Famers. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like if we didn't use Glavine somewhere, it would have been a disservice to the pitching weapons that you have, and there he gets a fly ball to center to end things in the 7th. So, all right, let's stretch. We are in the bottom of the 7th. This is close enough for the Mets to do something amazing.
Yeah.
It's 7-4, the Big Idea with Sarah Langs. Walker's still in for Valentin, Chavez, and Floyd.
Not insurmountable at all.
All right, ready to swing away with Valentin?
Right. Yep, let's go.
Let's do it. He does. Left side, diving stop at short. Throw across is not in time. Valentin is safe with a single to start off the 7th. And here's Chavez.
We've really seen the speed from this team. I mean, I know Reyes got thrown out on the stolen base attempt, but I feel like we've seen fielders' choices and infield singles, showing how much these guys could run.
Top stolen base team. So it makes sense. Yeah, you're right. There are not many base cloggers on this team. Probably the slowest in that lineup is maybe Delgado. Leduca wasn't fast. That's about it.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of these guys, I feel like even like a Valentin, Wright, I think was a lot faster than maybe people remember. He had a 30-30 season, and I'm sure if we had some sprint speeds on him, they'd be pretty good. And Beltran, too, I mean, got around, good base runner. So I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel you're right. Wright would be a potential StatCast darling these days in his prime, where we would say he doesn't, he's a power guy. He's playing third. I mean, he wasn't the biggest guy. Like not a physical. He doesn't. Some guys we go, he looks like a football player. That wasn't David Wright. Where the speed was there, though. You're right. So we're on to Chavez. And nothing fancy here, right? We need 3 runs to spare, so just swing it away?
Just swinging away.
Okay. Looking for 3 runs to keep this thing alive. Oh, and it goes to first. They get 1. They throw back and the throw is in time to double up Chavez to race the runners.
After I praised their speed. That makes sense.
I know. Of course. I told you, they can hear the show.
Yes, they absolutely can. That's the only explanation I can think of.
That's got to be it. All right, Cliff Floyd's up. Ready for a big swing?
All right, let's swing. Yep.
Cliff's got that pop that he can produce. Yeah, the extra base pop. And you wish that there wasn't a double play there because that would have scored a run. Yep. Cliff with a stand-up 2-out double. And here we go. Back to the top of your order with Jose Reyes.
All right, let's see what he can do.
Let's do it. The switch hitter batting from the right side. Left side, they're going to have to be quick with that throw. It's Reyes, but they make the play in time. Yeah, nice exchange. And that will retire the side. So, we have played 7. Big idea at Shea Stadium. Tom Glavine's in to face the bottom of this order. Feeling okay about Glavine, right? I would say the only thing is, do we just, at this point in the game, just keep guys warm?
Yeah, I think, it's late enough in the game. We should have our options ready. But hopefully can ride him for a bit more.
Maybe Bradford. And what do you think? Bradford for sure. I feel like we got to... That's a weapon to use based on his stats. And then,
definitely.
The thing about Wagner is, of course, Wagner's got the 70s stuff. And he was, he was great back then. But he wasn't, I mean, it was limited time. But I'm a huge Billy Wagner guy for the Hall of Fame. But the only knock that I get when I'm debating it is, well, in his time in the postseason, he didn't come through. I was like, okay, it was such a small sample, but I get it. But do we think about, Glavine warming up just to preserve things? Anybody else stand out to you that you definitely want to see in this game?
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely get a lefty up. The manager in me thinks we might want to save Wagner, but you know what? It's winner take all. Let's get him up for now. Go a little, something we wouldn't have seen in 2006 probably, but I'm good with now.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where nowadays, if you don't use your best arms, I feel like that's all we talk about the next day. Like they were up 3, and then it turned into 6, and they had Wagner sitting there. Yep.
Not trying to start that storyline here.
All right, so here's Pudge, and Glavine's on the mound. Let's do it.
Let's go.
0 for 3 so far today is Pudge, and of course there he goes. Down to the left fielder, Chavez, for a base hit to start the inning. And here's Polanco.
All right.
Double play depth?
Yeah, I'm good with double play depth. I think we're good there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And should we hold the runner or not too concerned with Pudge?
I don't think I'm that concerned with Pudge. I'm sure that'll burn me, but...
Well, maybe Delgado will make a nice play because he's standing a little further back. Well, he's close now, but it goes to second. There's 1. There's 2. Works out perfect. Double play recorded.
There we go.
And look who's pinch hitting.
Wow, the pinch hit king, Matt Stairs.
And I think about pinch hitters in that time period. I would say the first 2 that come to mind are Matt Stairs, and then, for Mets fans, they're probably thinking Lenny Harris, who wasn't on this team, but he was the classic Mets pinch hitter.
Absolutely. But Stairs, I mean, all of those pinch hit home runs, and I think a handful of them came against the Mets.
Yes. They do put in a lefty hitter, so you still got the lefty pitcher in Glavin. So still feeling good to finish off the inning with him, hopefully?
Yeah, I'm good with this, with the bases empty. Let's see.
Okay. Right side for Delgado to handle himself. And we move to the last of the 8th.
All right.
And into the game is Fernando Rodney, a young Fernando Rodney, who had more velocity back then, probably less of the secondary stuff because he could just ride the fastball back then. But he's facing 2, 3, and 4, right? Beltran Delgado. So this is the time to strike.
Wow, you forget some of all who was on these teams. I forgot he was on this Tigers team.
It's Rodney, Joel Zumaya, Todd Jones, and back then, it's exactly what you're talking about. Zumaya was, I would say, their most dangerous arm. Rodney was really good too, but Jones was a really low strikeout guy, but I guess just had that classic closer role in the 9th inning where he wasn't their best weapon, but he did the job.
Definitely. I remember him being really good for them. All right, let's swing.
Yes, let's do it. First, it's David Wright, and he chased a fastball. Rodney strikes out right, and here's Beltran, of course, yeah.
All right.
Looking for some more magic from Carlos, but he strikes out. Oh, Fernando Rodney looks like a man on a mission, and we are 1 out away from the bow and arrow in the 8th inning.
Yes, I was going to ask if we would see that. I know we will all be envisioning it if it happens here.
Yes. All right, here's Delgado, who has the home run earlier off the fastball. This time drives a pitch to left, and he's got himself a 2-out single.
He's had a good game.
Great game from Carlos Delgado.
Huge.
Here's LaDuca.
All right. Yeah.
Swinging away. Hitless so far today, and LaDuca comes through. Up the middle. 2 aboard for the Mets. But 2 outs here, and now, of course, we know what to do.
All right. Yes, this time we will absolutely pinch it.
Of course, yeah. So you have a righty on the mound, and Franco, I mean, all righty hitters, so it's really just a matter of, and it was close, you know? Franco knew how to pinch hit, of course. It's close. I mean, Millage was a pretty good bat. What are you thinking?
I think we go with the experience with Franco. And as you said, I think he's the most experienced pinch hitter of the group.
Yeah, I agree. I'm feeling a little Julio Franco magic right now. He's in for Glavin.
Let's see.
And with 2 on, a full count pitch. Ball 4. Julio Franco keeps the train rolling, and the bases are loaded in the home 8th for Jose Valentin.
All right, well, we were talking about contact before. Let's see what he can do right here.
Do the Mets have more magic in them? Oh, it's a ground ball to second. And Fernando Rodney, with a roller coaster inning, avoids any damage. And we head to the 9th. All right, so let's make our moves here. Franco has to switch around. And we are going to go... Well, Wagner's in there. He's ready. And I'm sure Bradford's ready, too, because we've been warming him up. Let's just check. Or he's warming up. Well, I mean, what are you thinking? Right. Should we put in Billy Wagner and just go crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, let's put Wagner in.
Okay. Wagner's going to go in that 6th spot where Franco was. All right, Billy Wagner time.
Cool.
I just got to put him in his pitch.
Let's see.
It'll be fun to see the heat here from Billy Wagner, first up against Curtis Granderson in the top of the 9th. Ready for it?
Yeah, let's go. Pretty atypical situation for him. but.
Yes. A lot of pressure and a chance for him to redeem himself with some postseason misses, even including that season. He had some rocky times in the playoffs. He gets a fly ball out.
Yes.
Top of the order here. Now Maglio.
All right.
Let's do it. And that is shipped to Central, and it's caught by Reyes, who gets out there in shallow center. 2 down. And Guillen pitching a batter.
Yeah, let's go.
Good pace here from Billy Wagner. And okay, that's a base hit to left.
All right, it's
so
okay.
1 on, 2 outs. Yep. This is the guy. The story of the game by far. Marcus Timms, everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
should we pitch around him? What do you think?
Yeah, we could pitch around him. You know, Bradford's ready if we wanted to go righty.
Yeah, let's bring Bradford in for him. Why not?
Yeah. Let's see what he looks like. Give him a different look. And Bradford's in. Ready to go. Ready to pitch?
All right. Yep, let's go.
Chad Bradford time, everyone. And he got him to pop a baseball up to pretty deep center, but Beltran glides back. Carlos Beltran makes the catch, and we are on to the bottom of the 9th. By the way, for Marcus Timms, 6 RBIs, most we've ever seen in a game from him. He is having the game of his life, despite the fly out there. But you've got 8, 9, and 1 coming up. Todd Jones into this game, save situation. 10 hits for the Mets today, but they're out-hitting the Tigers. It's the grand slam that tells the story of this one from Marcus Timms so far. Mets need 3 to stay alive. All right, so Andy Chavez,
let's see.
You need base runners. Is there a thought across your mind that he got the bunt hit before that you try it again, or it's too much?
Let's try it. It's the bottom of the 9th. We need a lot here. Let's try it.
Yeah, we do. All right, let's see. Andy Chavez against Todd Jones. Squares to bunt, misses it. So 1 strike against him. We could try again, or we could just swing away.
I think just swing away now.
Yep. It's a 2-2 count, and it's into center. There's a base hit. All right, correct call.
There we go.
Hard ground ball that shoots up through the middle, and Chavez is on. Yeah, you need traffic here, Sarah.
Yes. Yes. All right, now let's see what Cliff can do. Let's swing.
Swinging away with Cliff Floyd. Mets fans loved Cliff. Oh, and that gets past second. A diving Polanco can't get to it, and there's 2 on for the Mets in the home 9th. Hey, here's your top of the order, the big 4 for New York. Reyes right, Beltran, Delgado. Runners on first and second.
All right, let's swing. Let's go.
Not much to do as a manager besides just say, let's go, boys. And they do. Base hit to left. They are full of Mets.
Woo. All right, this is the situation for the franchise player, right?
This is the dream. David Wright, bases loaded, nobody out, bottom 9, down 3 runs.
Oh my gosh.
You tell me go.
Yeah, let's go.
Give it your all, David. 1 for 4 so far today. Okay, that one's popped up. Center field. We'll see if it's deep enough to score the run, and it is not. Curtis Granderson makes the catch. Chavez didn't want to risk 2 outs there because you need a lot. Now it's Beltran. Yeah. Wait, Sarah.
How did
you gotta appreciate the moment here.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So similar, so close. That's crazy. Maybe that just tells us that it was all just bound to happen, right?
Yes. What do you think happens here?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to go with the optimistic. I think he'll get some sort of hit, redeem himself, something totally different. Let's see.
He was a star in 06. He does swing. It goes to third. They get one. A run does score. All right, it didn't turn into 2. He's fast. And Floyd's on to third.
Yeah.
You've got 5. Here's Delgado. He's been your best bat today.
He has. Let's see what he's got.
2-2. Last chance for New York. Delgado into center, and it's caught, and the ball game is over. The 2006 Detroit Tigers say if the Mets made it, we would have been victorious. Marcus Timms is an instant legend in 2006. Wow, that one had some heat at the end, and it's over. And wow, we gotta gloss over we gotta really dive into the box score for a second here. As the Detroit Tigers take it, Timms is the post-game interview. He said, feels great, feels like $1 million, so happy right now, put a lot of work into this. He did. I mean, this was his career year, and he proved it with 2 home runs. What stands out from this matchup?
Oh my gosh, I love the idea that if the Tigers faced a better team, then they would have won the World Series. You know, we talk about like playing up to your competition or playing down to your competition. I mean, no disrespect to the 06 Cardinals, but we talked about they were an 83-win team. So I wonder if this next level is almost what these Tigers needed. But yeah, what a game for Marcus Timms, and in a winner-take-all game, I love that. It's really fun to see the alternate history.
Yes, I agree. And yeah, Fernando Rodney got himself into trouble. So did Todd Jones. And I would say it made a little sense that the veteran manager, the AI that we were playing against in Jim Leland, decided, you know what? I mean, I know Bonderman was young, but I'm going to go with Bonderman. And then also I'm going to avoid Zumaya, who was insane that year when he was healthy. Yeah. But he did get hurt, actually, I believe. I think that was the year that Zumaya got hurt in, game 2 of the ALDS. He threw 1 2/3 scoreless. That was like his moment, right? He struck out Jeter, and he was just blowing fastballs through Giambi and Alex Rodriguez. But he had the nagging wrist issue from playing too much Guitar Hero and missed most of the ALCS.
Yeah, I was remembering that one when you mentioned his name. I knew it was that year. That's certainly on the list of all-time interesting injuries, to say the least. But yeah, the bullpen worked out well for Leland for sure.
Yes, it did. And hey, maybe that's coming full circle with a video game causing an injury for Zumaya, so they decide not to use him in a video game. And I would say the other thing that stands out to me is the Tigers swept the A's in that ALCS, right? So they had 6 days off before the World Series. This time, we kept a more even playing field and said, hey, both teams are fully rested, equally rested, though. And this is how we saw things play out. Because, I mean, sitting down for a week and then playing a World Series, we know how guys are nowadays. I think about, creatures of habit and routine-oriented players. I mean, I think about, this one of the stories of 2021, the Boston Red Sox with JD Martinez saying, hey, I didn't have video to watch last year. And everyone's like, okay, but maybe he's declining too. Well, I mean, he's been pretty good. And also in the month of April, he was maybe the best hitter in baseball or one of the best hitters in baseball. So he proved right off the bat that these things matter.
Definitely. I feel like the rest versus rust conversation comes up in the championship round of pretty much every sport. Or do you want to be the team that sweeps and has a bunch of time off while the other team in the other conference league, whatever it is going to 7 games? Or do you want to be that team getting pushed to 7 games? And a lot of times that team that is pushed to 7 does come out victorious. And that's kind of what happened with the Cardinals and Tigers, obviously, as you were saying. And definitely with this video game scenario, everybody being on sort of equal rest entering probably did help the Tigers a decent amount, as opposed to sitting there and watching that NLCS play out back in 2006.
And also, managing is tough.
Very tough. Yes, I already knew that, but now I really know.
It is. It's pressure oriented. It's regretting every move, or when you do press the right button, you're freaking out. So, I mean, when you had the Andy Chavez bunt earlier, when I would say you and I probably aren't the biggest we're I would say more new school, so we're probably not the most bunt-oriented fans, but we did go nostalgic, and it worked out for us at that time.
Definitely. But all of these options, and the thing is, here we have the options in front of us. It's pretty easy to just pick one or the other and then hold your breath and see what happens. But when you're really on a real field, there's no list of the options in front of you. I mean, I feel like there's so many things you have to keep track of in any given moment. If you're a manager, it's your job, so I understand, they do it. But it's a lot easier when there's a list of 1, 2, 3, or 4. Are we stealing? Are we pitching? Are we swinging? Everything else.
I agree. I would say I've finally come back down to earth heartbeat wise. But yeah, that was a rush for sure, especially that ninth inning too, where then you're pressing all these buttons and then there's nothing to do at that point. Yeah, but just watch them swing away and hope for the best as manager. And yeah, the Mets come up short here, so Mets fans might be a little disappointed to know that 06 team might not have had what it took, or at least don't discount the fact that if you made it to the World Series, the Tigers weren't just, a throwaway. They could play. They could pitch. They had a few weapons out of the bullpen. So, Sarah, thank you so much. Did you have fun?
Yes, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. Really cool to just go back and see all these players, think about them and see what could have happened.
This was the big idea. Big time guests playing out epic matchups on Out of the Park Baseball 22. Play what the pros play. The ultimate baseball strategy game. Hit us in the comments with your big idea suggestions, and then we'll work on making that happen in the future. You've done a great job in the past with that, and keep them coming in the chat. Now, everything on the computer that you watch today is also available on the mobile device. That's Out of the Park Go. It's for free on iOS and Android. And that was the big idea from 2006, the What If World Series. If the Mets had come through against the Cardinals and made it against the Tigers, Sarah, you are awesome. Thank you so much for playing and for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Out of the Park Baseball 22. Play what the pros play. The world's best baseball strategy game. Whether you're new school or old school, all that matters is winning. Take full control of any current Major League Baseball franchise. Discover and develop elite players, coaches, and scouts. Run your team your way and build a World Series champion. The Infinite Baseball Sandbox. All new for 2021. Stunning new 3D ballparks for every Major League team. Or build your own unique, majestic landmark with our dramatically improved ballpark construction kit. A completely remodeled coaching system that connects and impacts your entire organization. All new strategies and management options give you unprecedented control. Plus, dozens of gameplay and performance improvements that make the best even better. And of course, Perfect Team 22. The critically acclaimed online competition roars back this season with more strategies, more content, and a brand new mode, Perfect Draft. Out of the Park Baseball 22, available worldwide on March 26th, 2021.